Welcome everyone. Greetings. On behalf of the IEC Academy, it is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you all for this first webinar of the year. Today's session marks the introduction of a new IEC Academy webinar series that focuses on the world of IEC Conformity Assessment services. Throughout the year, this new series will offer an opportunity to delve into the 4 IEC Conformity Assessment systems. We are delighted to kick off this series today with an insightful webinar discussion that is closely tied to the inaugural celebration of the International Clean Energy Day, which will be commemorated tomorrow on January 26. Guiding today's discussion will be Mrs. Gabriela Erlich. She is the Director of Communication for the IEC. We look forward to an engaging and informative sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sigma. Hi, everyone. Energy is the cornerstone of all SDGs. And for the last 100 years, we developed energy mostly dirty. At COP, everyone agreed that we have to urgently move into cleaner energy and away from fossil fuels. We will hear today from Unido and Irina how they are supporting industry and governments in moving and in accelerating the transition to cleaner energy. And we will hear about some opportunities that are still untapped or largely untapped, for example, marine energy, but also how IEC work, especially in conformity assessment, supports this rollout of clean energy globally. Before that, I would like to present Joe Cobbs, who is the IEC president and who started his mandate on the 1st of January 2023. Joe, over to you.
Thank you very much, Gabriela, and esteemed participants. Welcome to this very special webinar to mark the first ever International Day of Clean Energy, which is taking place tomorrow, the 26th of January. Over the next 60 minutes, we will be delving into the pivotal role that IEC Conformity Assessment Systems play in steering us towards a more sustainable and equitable world. As we explore the intersection of clean energy and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 7, our focus extends to renewable energy, energy access, and its broader global impact. Clean energy stands at the forefront of our collective efforts to address the pressing challenges of mitigating climate change and fostering sustainability. IEC's work is crucial to the realization of widespread clean energy solutions. Our strategic vision and conformity assessment systems act as a catalyst for progress in providing clean, resilient, and affordable energy services. In the pursuit of SDG 7, IEC CA systems emerge as instrumental tools in ensuring the reliability, interoperability, and safety of technologies that underpin clean energy solutions. From solar and wind power to groundbreaking innovations, these systems set the standards that propel the transition towards renewable energy. This, in turn, contributes significantly to achieving universal access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy, a cornerstone of SDG 7. IEC CA systems also contribute significantly to improving energy access in underserved regions, fostering innovation and creating a level playing field for business worldwide. 2024 is a critical year for us. It is the year marked for reviewing progress in the timeline set for achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. With the forthcoming Summit for the Future in September, global leaders, experts, and key stakeholders will be coming together to assess progress, share insights, and chart the course for the years ahead. And so for IEC 2, it is a time to reflect on what we have already achieved and to recalibrate our efforts towards the ambitious targets set for and beyond 2030. In today's webinar, we will engage in insightful discussions, hear from experts in clean energy innovation, and explore how IEC CA systems contribute to the broader global impact. Let us seize this moment to deepen our understanding, share insights, and collectively pave the way for a cleaner, more sustainable world. Thank you very much for your participation, and I look forward to a stimulating and enlightening discussion.
Thank you, Jo. I would like to now pass on to Marco Matteni, and he's the Industrial Development Officer in the Energy Systems and Industrial Decarbonization Unit at the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO. Over to you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Gabriela, and many thanks to IEC for the kind invitation to participate in this important webinar. And good morning to all our participants. When we look at clean energy and the work of UNIDO, the mission of UNIDO is to promote and support inclusive and sustainable industrial development. Now, sustainable industrial development means also to safeguard the environment from those negative effects and impacts of industrial production and industrialization. The work that UNIDO is doing falls under this, let's say, objective. The activities that UNIDO is carrying out in emerging economies and developing countries are trying to, on the one hand, accelerate the shift of industry, both big and small, away from fossil fuels. We are also working to enable decision makers to develop and design low carbon path to economic and industrial progress. And third, let's say, main area of work is to foster the rise of local entrepreneurs and innovators in the space of clean technologies. To give an idea of some of the work that we do, we have a program that is aimed to decarbonize industry through the promotion and support of energy efficiency technologies, renewable energy technology application. Recently, we started to work also on hydrogen, and we have ongoing development work on CCUS, and also digital technologies is a cross-cutting solution that we try to integrate in all programs. We have projects and programs that are looking to building and strengthening supply chains for clean energy technologies. And now make an example shortly. We have also activities that are supporting low carbon infrastructure and energy system integration. Within this theme, we have electric mobility projects, energy district, both on heating and cooling, and also development work on green ports. Actually, also ocean energy, Gabriela was mentioning, but it's a topic now also for UNIDO. We have then also activities related to innovation, as I mentioned earlier, but we have a large program that is really working to accelerate and support startups and SMEs that have innovation ideas in different areas. Again, energy efficiency, renewable energy, water efficiency. Now, within all UNIDO intervention, almost all intervention, support is provided at different level, at the policy and institutional level, at market level, through a lot of capacity building for service providers and also industries. The risking investment is a increasingly important area, and then of course conformity assessment. In all the programs that UNIDO is working, really international standards are playing a critical role, and in many instances we have dedicated activities to support conformity assessment. And to give just a couple of examples, we have projects in Southern Africa on energy efficiency appliances and minimum energy performance standards. And one of the key activities there is building the capacity of the country laboratory to test and verify energy efficiency performance of appliances that are imported in the country. This is in combination then to a very articulated structure of intervention at the policy, market, and also investment level. And another program that I think is very close to the work of IEC is energy performance standard for electric motors, where we have a program in Egypt, and also here a significant amount of work is going to strengthening the country overall capacity to manage, implement, and further develop this type of program. Maybe I'll stop here for reason of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. It's very interesting to see how UNIDO is supporting industry. I would like to now hand over to Jaidev Davle, who works at the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, in the sector that takes care of innovation trends for different renewable energy technologies. And I'm passing on to you, Jaidev. We're looking forward to hearing from what IRENA is doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabriela, and a very good greetings to you all on this webinar today. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to share some very brief insights on what IRENA is doing to promote clean energy. So for those who are not familiar with our organization, we're an intergovernmental agency with about 169 member countries, and our mandate is to support these countries in their transition to a sustainable energy future through the adoption of different renewable energy technologies. If I was to describe IRENA in a nutshell, I would say that we are an organization that aims to serve as a leading platform to promote international cooperation and serve as a center of excellence and a repository for policy, technology, and financial trends related to the area of renewable energy. And I'd like to use now the remainder of my remarks to just share a few examples of how IRENA is operating in these facets. Firstly, as a center of excellence and from a technical viewpoint, my colleagues here at IRENA engage with various government stakeholders across the world to understand their energy transition priorities, as well as the challenges that they face. Accordingly, what we do together with our partners is to undertake detailed analysis, as well as energy modeling to identify potential solutions to address those barriers. Some examples where this approach has been very successful include our annual World Energy Transitions Outlook, as well as our country and regional specific renewable energy roadmaps that demonstrate our credentials in this area. Secondly, on the point that I mentioned of IRENA being a repository for different aspects of renewable energy pertinent to policy, technology, and fiscal developments, we actually have dedicated divisions working on this topic. So we have a Knowledge and Policy Finance Center based in Abu Dhabi that looks at the policy trends that are taking place in renewable energy. We have the Innovation and Technology Center, where I am based in Bonn, that looks at the innovation trends happening in renewable energy. And then we also have a country engagement division that works together with governments to understand their priorities and interlink these thematic areas. So what we do in tandem, in a cohesive way, is to undertake specialized analysis on these topics, and usually they're in the form of reports, webinars such as these, and podcasts, with the objective of sharing insights on these topics and hoping that they inspire positive change in this area. Some examples of successes on this front include our innovation landscape reports, our reports on renewable energy costs and job outlooks, as well as our fortnightly IRENA Insights webinars, which touch upon these topics. Thirdly, on our point with regards to international cooperation, we have a very established track record in this pillar. Our most recent engagements have been working with the G20 and G7 groups to provide analysis and recommendations on the topics of low-cost financing for renewable energy technologies, clean hydrogen production, and also looking into how floating offshore wind can support transitions towards a clean energy future. We also leverage our convening capacities to launch initiatives to drive positive change. And some examples of this include our Alliance for Industrial Decarbonization, as well as our Global Offshore Wind Alliance, which have taken off very rapidly in the span of a year. Finally, we also offer our members an opportunity to share best practices on energy issues that are of importance for them. And this is where our collaborative frameworks come into place, where we organize webinars such as this to, again, allow our members to talk about issues that are of importance to them. I'd also like to stress that IRENA doesn't work in silos. We actually try to actively work together with other organizations to maximize our impact. And I'm very pleased that we have a very strong collaboration with some organizations who are represented over here, such as the IEC, UNIDO, and among others, ISO, WTO, ILO, to name a few. We also, I've talked a lot about how we do work in technical and analytical work, but we also try to drive investment into renewable energy projects. And for this, we actually have a division in Abu Dhabi which focuses on project facilitation. And the objective of this division is to help promising renewable energy project developers to bring their ideas up to scale. And for this venture, we have a few tools known as our Climate Investment Platform, as well as our Energy Transition Accelerator Financing Platform, which allow for these objectives to be met. On the latter, we were able to actually secure approximately $4 billion in financial pledges last year. We strongly believe that the culmination of our work across these facets actually is reflected in the inclusion of the tripling renewables and doubling energy efficiency pledge that was included in the COP28 declaration. And this is the first in the COP's history. And we at IRENA strongly believe that this is an important recognition towards the importance of clean energy towards a sustainable energy transition. And finally, as mentioned at the start of this webinar, tomorrow is the International Clean Energy Day, as declared by the UN General Assembly. And we take immense pride in this fact because this day actually coincides with the day that IRENA was founded on the 26th of January, 2009. So there's a very good synergy over there. And I think the importance of this day is the fact that it's a chance for the international community to celebrate the various clean energy innovations that can help achieve a sustainable energy future. So all in all, I think this is a great initiative that the UN has done, and it's a great opportunity for us to have the discussion and keep the momentum going towards a sustainable energy future. So I'll stop there. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to share my perspectives.
Thank you, Jaidev. Very interesting insight, and the IEC is very happy to partner with IRENA as a ecosystem contributor. And I'm going to pass on now to Wolfram Zeitz, who is the Executive Secretary of 2 of our 4 conformity assessment systems, to try to understand better how conformity assessment actually contributes to the rollout of clean energy infrastructure. Wolfram, over to you.
Thanks a lot, and a warm welcome to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are nicely spread across the world with this audience. I will mainly focus on a subset of clean energy, basically the renewable energies. And it is very clear, and there's a lot of agreement that the subset of clean energy, renewable energies, is really the cornerstone for the future. While a lot of what we also include in the portfolio of clean energy is a clean energy support to reach our goals and targets, which are also defined in the UN Sustainable Development Goals. But the key factor will be really the rollout of the renewable energy systems. And that's where the IEC CA systems, and specifically IEC EE and IEC RE, really play a very important role. The IEC RE is the IEC system on renewable energy systems. It goes beyond just the technology. It also includes conformity assessment on whole assets like a wind park or a solar farm or a marine energy installation. And you will hear later more from my colleague Jonathan Colby about marine energy, so I will not focus too much on that, even it's a very important part of our three-step portfolio. But the scope we are offering is quite inclusive in that area. And in the area of solar, we have the only place where a part of the scope is covered by the IEC EE, which takes care of the components which are used to set up solar assets and solar power plants. So both of the IEC CA systems, IEC EE and IEC RE, substantively contribute to the renewable energy development. And how does this support the rollout? We all know that standardization and conformity assessment are two sides of a coin. Standardization sets the integral set of requirements and set of technical specification, how certain technologies can be operated safe and efficient in multiple markets. International standards are based on a harmonized approach and an agreement among multiple nations. And the same is it with IEC CA systems. The IEC CA systems are the only example of international harmonized CA systems where the same set of rules, the same set of requirements are applicable all across the world and all across the participating country of these CA systems. So in a nutshell, this gives the whole portfolio of stakeholders, starting from the investment side when there is a development for renewable energy assets, over the installation, about technical questions about compliance with these requirements, over to the operation of these assets and the continuous operation and the efficient operation. So the IEC CA systems offer a huge portfolio of opportunities in that area to really support, and emerging and upstarting economies can contribute from that as well, because there is a given set of requirements which has a proof of concept already that they are working. Hence, a lot of development resources can be saved in these emerging markets by just adopting the already existing concept. And this is the way how IEC standardization, but foremost, since this is the topic of today, also the conformity assessment side, hugely contribute to the rollout of clean energy and renewable energy. And as I said, we will later hear also from my colleague Chris Aegis about other clean energy concepts we cover in other CA systems of the IEC. So I will not go too deep into that. And with that one, I hand over back to Gabriela, but not without inviting you to ask questions, and we try to address them as quick as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Wolfram. Now I'd like to pass over to Jonathan Colby, who will talk a little bit more about some of the opportunities marine energy offers, which is sort of a really old technology, but also a really new one because it has a number of challenges that it offers. Over to you, Jonathan.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Gabriella. Greetings to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I look forward to the question and answer and really appreciate the comments of my panelists. So for those who maybe aren't familiar, marine energy, also known sometimes as ocean energy, is a segment of the renewable energy industry that utilizes the naturally moving waters of our oceans and rivers. This can be in the form of tidal currents, ocean currents, river currents, wave energy, as well as some really innovative technologies that take advantage of thermal gradients in the ocean or salinity gradients between bodies of fresh and salt water. Now, our industry is a new and emerging aspect of the renewable energy space. And as we think about standards and conformity assessment, this offers a significant number of opportunities as well as some challenges. So in a new and emerging industry, such as marine energy, one significant opportunity is the ability to develop the standards and conformity assessment systems while the industry develops. This enables experts within the industry to provide input in real time and adopt the standards early in the process of technology development and demonstration. Similarly, it is easier to ensure that international conformity assessment systems, such as the IEC CRE, are the norm within the industry. For many emerging industries, there are no or few existing standards. As such, there are limited options in the marketplace, and as the new international standards are developed, companies aren't asked to redesign or retest products. This is a real opportunity for cost savings and the avoidance of repetitive and excessive testing and design. Further, this absence of standards can really help companies understand the importance of standards as they are developed. Similarly, mutual recognition, which is a pillar of IEC conformity assessment systems, is immediately understood to technology and project developers as they consider expanding into the global marketplace. Now, in addition to these opportunities for companies in the industry, there are also really meaningful opportunities for the individuals involved. As new technical committees are established for emerging industries, such as our own TC 114, there are real opportunities for participation and leadership within these activities immediately. Similarly, as new conformity assessment schemes and deliverables are developed, there are opportunities for engagement and professional development immediately. With a younger workforce in our industry, the IEC Young Professional Program, for example, and other efforts at the national levels are ideally suited to emerging industries like ours and enable the success of our work in standards and conformity assessment system. Now, as we think about challenges, like many things in life, our main challenges are related to time and money. We find in a capital intensive energy sector, where many of the companies are pre-revenue, we find it very difficult to find volunteers who have the bandwidth and resources to support the volunteer efforts required. That includes the time in the meetings, the travel to the meetings. And so we do have a challenge in really encouraging active and meaningful participation across our community. The final challenge I'll note is that absence of standards can inhibit the ability to conduct conformity assessment activities. As we all know, I hope, the IEC conformity assessment work is based on international standards, such as those published by IEC and ISO. And when we have an absence of those standards, it does make conducting conformity assessment more challenging and really adds to the importance or highlights the importance of international standards and their development, as then those facilitate the conformity assessment and certification activities that are necessary to commercialize our sector. With that, I'll turn the floor back to you, Gabriela. I hope those were meaningful and appropriate comments, and I look forward to our question and answer session a bit later in our panel.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, very insightful as always. Now we've heard a little bit more about the facilitators, and it would be really interesting to hear how a country applies some of these approaches in terms of standardization and conformity assessment. Kenya is an excellent example. They're very active in IEC work. And I would like to understand by interviewing Mrs. Esther Ngari, who is the Director General of the Kenya Bureau of Standards, how Kenya is going about contributing to the IEC, but also rolling out and expanding clean energy. Over to you, Esther. Sorry, you seem to be muted. Can't hear you yet.
Are you able to hear me now?
Now we hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So thank you so much, Gabriela. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for this invitation to speak at this important webinar marking the first International Day of Clean Energy. I'm particularly very delighted to discuss this topic with the participants across the world, given the crucial role that standards play in ensuring safe, reliable, and sustainable energy access. Kenya Bureau of Standards is a national standards body, and our mandate includes standards development, conformity assessment, and metrology. IEC Conformity Assessment Systems have continued to contribute to our work at Kenya Bureau of Standards with regards to sustainable development goals, and particularly SDG number 7 on affordable, reliable, and sustainable modern energy for all in the following areas. One, it has streamlined our product registration. We have leveraged in the IEC CB certificates and reports. So KEBS expedites the process of importers, promoting efficient trade flow and aligning with SDG number 10. We have also enhanced consumer protection by validating of certificates, which strengthens product traceability and reliability through the IEC Access Control System, which contributes to SDG number 16 by fostering greater trust and safeguarding consumer interest. We have also facilitated market access, which is the clearing customs without further assessment for IECE certified products, which lowers the cost and delays for importers. This supports the economic growth and promotes access to clean energy under technologies under SDG number 7. Further, it ensures consumer confidence is boosted by allowing the use of standardization mark on IECE certified products, which enhances consumer confidence in product quality and safety, contributing to SDG number 8. Beyond market access, Kenya Bureau of Standards remains vigilant in ensuring product quality and safety, which is a continuous market monitoring through our market surveillance of all the products, including those under the IECE CB scheme. We ensure consistent quality and safety standards across the market, upholding SDG number 3, and combating unfair practices by identifying and addressing non-compliant products, which protects the consumers and promotes fair market practices, which aligns with SDG number 16. So the benefits of IEC conformity assessment systems go beyond mere compliance. They ensure cost effectiveness by reducing delays and streamlining procedures, which lowers the cost for all stakeholders. They also reduce trade barriers because harmonized standards and streamlined processes facilitate international trade and align with SDG number 17, and they improve market quality, which saves an efficient product, foster responsible consumption and production. It also strengthens IEC collaboration by active participation in the IEC community, which enhances knowledge sharing and global standards development. Also, under technical expertise, we are able to access a pool of international experts, which strengthens Kenya Bureau of Standards capacity and promotes knowledge transfer by supporting SDG number 4. So in conclusion on this is that the partnership between Kenya Bureau of Standards and IEC Conformity Assessment Services, it is not just about technical regulations. It's about building a brighter future for Kenya by embracing international best practices and actively pursuing sustainable development goals. Kenya Bureau of Standards is paving the way for a future where safe, efficient, and reliable electrical products empower Kenyan consumers and contribute to a thriving national economy. Gabriela, there is also the issue of Kenya, which is leading when it comes to voluntary national reporting. And if I can just mention a bit about the voluntary national reporting, this voluntary national reporting, it is a key element of the United Nations 2030 agenda for sustainable development. And every few years, nations voluntarily present a report to the high-level political forum showcasing their progress towards achieving all 17 SDGs, including, of course, the crucial goal number 7 of affordable and clean energy. And it provides a platform for peer learning, sharing best practices, and identifying areas for collaboration and improvement. Kenya has a long-standing history in her commitment to sustainable development because its future depends on the achievement of a holistic, integrated, and participatory implementation of socio-economic and environmental dimensions of sustainable development. Whereas we have a 2030 agenda for sustainable development, which represents global response to global challenges, Kenya has considered it nationally relevant and capable of having a transformative impact on the quality of life of all Kenyans, which is similar to the aspirations of our Kenya Vision 2030. So Kenya Bureau of Standards, we have been actively collaborating with other national authorities on the voluntary reporting, national reporting, by standards development implementation, developing data gathering and analysis, capacity building and awareness trainings. And in conclusion, the voluntary reporting process offers a valuable platform for countries to showcase their progress towards achieving the SDGs, learn from each other, and strengthen collaboration. So KEBS remains committed to working with other national authorities to ensure Kenya continues to excel in the voluntary national reporting, particularly when it comes to SDG number 7. And by leveraging standards, data and collaboration, we can collectively empower communities and advance clean energy solutions and illuminate a brighter future for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther. Absolutely excellent overview of what you do. I particularly liked your mention of building a brighter future for Kenya. And I hope that a lot of other countries will take your example and help build a brighter future for their own populations and their own economies. I will pass now on to Chris Aegis, who is the Executive Secretary of the other two IEC Conformity Assessment Systems. And he will explain again how these two conformity assessment systems can contribute to the transition to clean energy. Chris, over to you.
Thank you, and hello to everybody from down under here in Australia. I plan to leave you with a very important message. But to get to that, I want to go through a very brief overview to explain that message I'm going to leave you with. And to do that, I'm going to use the IEC EX and the IEC Q, the other two conformity assessment systems of the IEC, and use examples from each of those just to explain the message I plan to leave you at the end of my brief presentation. I'm going to start with hydrogen. And in the IEC EX, the conformity assessment system dealing with the safe use of equipment, persons and services where flammable and combustible materials may be present, has been covering hydrogen for decades now. Hydrogen is not new. While we hear a lot of discussion about green hydrogen, hydrogen itself has been a commodity in use for many, many, many years. And to take a step back and look at hydrogen, we note that on an annual production basis, we have around 75 metric tonne per year produced as pure hydrogen, a further 45 metric tonne as part of a mix of gases. Now, with all of that, that is equivalent to around 3% of global final energy demand. Now, with such a huge amount of quantity produced, only 4% of that is coming from a process we call electrolysis. And only 1% is actually coming from electrical energy to power that electrolysis by way of renewable energy devices. So we've got a lot of work and a lot of scope ahead to improve that situation. The rest is coming from natural gas, coal, and oil. We note that there are renewable and low carbon hydrogen projects worldwide. In fact, there's a little over 1,100 that are currently operating worldwide, projects exploring this, that require around $400 billion US. This also requires some support, because to note with hydrogen, we have the four core areas. We firstly have the production, we have the transformation, we have the transport, and then the final use by the different industries. And to do that, at each step of the way, the production right through to end of use, equipment is utilized. Equipment, devices, monitoring devices, electrical, electronic, mechanical equipment, all of these are required to work safely to ensure that those workers and communities around maintain safety all round. For that, we utilize the IEC EX conformity assessment system. On the conformity assessment side, we have a suite of international standards, both through the IEC and also through ISO. We also have other quality infrastructure elements such as metrology and the like. All of these produce and support the ongoing exploration, the development of what we call green hydrogen. We also note that in IECX we have dedicated working group that is working, and we've heard from IRENA, where we've been working very closely with IRENA and other partners to provide a global approach to the testing and certification, not just of equipment, but also the certification of services, whether it be repair and overhaul, installation, inspection, or personnel as well, to ensure that people working in these areas have the competence to do so. So that's one approach. When we talk about another conformity assessment system, the IEC Q, I want to touch on the importance of verification and trust. And we all know about the various, let's say, ambitious claims, also the marketing claims. We hear from organisations about their environmental performance. We hear that a lot of claims made about carbon footprint reduction, carbon footprint approaches. We are now operating within the IECQ through the IEC, a global approach to verifying those claims and providing trust in those claims made by organisations. So we're providing a global harmonised approach. This is important because while we endeavour to venture on this journey for a cleaner and more efficient world, we find that there are various areas that consider the need for standards, consider the need for other conformity assessment aspects, and I want to leave you with a very, very clear message. And that message is simple, that there exists today a very clear and defined suite of international standards at both the IEC, the ISO, dealing with the safety, the production and use of hydrogen, also too in other areas of our clean energy approach, such as carbon footprint verification. We see the ISO suite of standards dealing with these. We also note that we have a global and consistent harmonized approach to the testing and certification offered by all of the 4 IEC Conformity Assessment Systems. We also note the work and the valuable work that exists today through international approaches in metrology, legal metrology, through the OIML. So we have a lot of these organizations that exist today, and the message I want to leave you with is very simple. When you are considering, in your respective countries, when you are considering the use of standards, the use of conformity assessment, and other quality infrastructure elements, please make use of what exists today. And if you find that you may need something more, or you have some concerns, don't forget we have the organizations ISO, IEC, OIML, and other international organizations that you may call upon to make adjustments and plug any gaps that you feel that may exist. So with that, I thank you for this opportunity and welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. I think we have a few minutes we can spend around questions. I have one question from the audience, but before I dive into that, I was wondering, I have a first question to Marco. To Marco. When you have successful cases like you mentioned for Egypt or for South Africa, are you rolling those out further at that point? Are you helping other countries? Do you make that known further?
Thank you, Gabriela. The answer is yes. We always try to scale up programs and projects that are showing to deliver benefits to our member states and recipient country. Egypt is one of the programs that we are trying to replicate. Another program that has already follow-up phase is the energy efficient appliance program for Southern Africa that I mentioned briefly in my intervention, which is going to be extended to also Western Africa. The ongoing program is covering, I think, more than 15 countries, and the new program will cover most of the Western African countries. But yes, where there are good results and there are also requests and needs from our member states, we try to build on that experience, those lessons, to replicate and also mobilize funding from the donors.
I have one additional question for you, Marco. You mentioned that you're supporting innovators in the clean energy space. And I was just wondering, how would an innovator come to UNIDO? How would they get support?
Yes, sir. As of today, the support that UNIDO is able to provide has to be channeled through country projects. So the Clean Tech Innovation Program that we have at the moment is covering around 15 countries, but each country has its budget, has its program of incubation and acceleration of startups in different thematic areas that are also country specific. In some countries, there is a request to focus on energy efficiency, renewable energy, and water efficiency. But in other countries, we have received a request to see if some innovation can be triggered for waste and chemicals or in the agricultural sector. Unfortunately, at the moment, the support that we can provide is at the country level. Then we have activities that try to connect and bring together the innovators, I don't know, from South Africa with the innovators from Turkey, from India and other countries. But yes, unfortunately, at the moment, it very much linked to country operations.
Thank you. Maybe a question for you, Esther. We got a question from Eswatini, who would like to know to what extent the IEC Conformity Assessment systems can support the validation of equipment in terms of what kind of certificates, the range, the scope of equipment they can cover, and if it is a reliable system for standards bodies to validate a wide range of equipment. I don't know if you have a comment, and otherwise also Wolfram, maybe.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. What I would want to say is that, yes, for us, we are in the first program, which is the IEC EE, and the certification has been quite reliable, and we have seen the benefits of this conformity assessment program. The equipment which are currently being covered, we have seen the benefits of using that program. It has made work more efficient. Our processes for clearance have been more efficient. We don't have to retest again, because once you have the certificates for the products you are bringing into the country, then you don't have to retest those products again. We are actually looking at expanding the current program to have more, so that it covers more scope of the equipment that we are bringing under the IEC program. So it is working for us. I believe it is quite reliable. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Thank
Gabriela, if you like, I can add to that one. Yes, there is a very wide range of equipment already covered in the combined scope. So when you take all the 4 IEC CA systems, you cover a scope of, let's say, roughly around about 4,000 IEC and ISO standards and different edition of them, which is quite a significant large scope. And since transparency is paramount for us, you can find this always very easy accessible on our website. So let's start with the IECE website. I'm sharing my screen now. You can find the standards operated by the IECE easy on the website, and it is a quite long list. You can see altogether here, only in the IECE, we have already 3,141 standards and their editions. You can search them, you can filter them by category, and the same thing is applicable for the IEC RE. You find also a list of standard. Here we only have 69, which is because of the very limited scope to the 3 energy sectors in IEC RE. And the same goes for IECQ and IEC EX. And the most important part of this is IEC CA systems are driven by market demand. That means every time the market comes to the CA systems and proves a case that there is a market demand, we can extend the scope of the CA systems. Because we are member-driven organizations. If the members decide that this new service is an asset to the CA system, then it will be implemented and developed. So means whenever there's interest for something which is not covered today, we can work on covering it tomorrow in case there is a real, in case there's a real business case and market demand behind. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question to Jaidev. You mentioned that one of the things you're doing at IRENA is analyzing policy trends in renewable energy. I was wondering if for the audience you could, in a nutshell, describe what are the latest trends in renewable energy policy?
Thanks a lot, Gabriela. Yeah, that's a very broad ambit to cover. But what I would say in terms of policy is that there is, I think, an increasing recognition from economies across the world that renewable energies are imperative towards achieving a sustainable energy transition. I mean, I think what we see in the news a lot of the days is, the major economies such as the United States and also the European Union having these big, policy acts such as the Inflation Reduction Act and the Europe Repower EU Act, which is, I think, very positive news that they have, targeted incentives to help manufacturers and supply chain players to, again, scale up their operations and ensure that renewable energy technologies can be made more accessible to end users as well. A particular aspect that I think will also gain more attention is also making legislation for permitting of renewable energy projects a bit more facile, because currently it's a bit of an interweb of players that need to sort of provide permissions to allow for these projects to become a reality. So there's trends, especially in solar PV and offshore wind, to make those processes more quicker. And finally, I think on the aspect of sustainability, I think there's an important note that stakeholders are also realizing that the supply chains for renewable energy technologies also have to be sustainable, because the materials that are used for these technologies are not infinite. So there has to be ways in which those materials can be recycled. So there was a question about lithium-ion batteries, for example, in the chat. I mean, yes, that's a very good question, but I'm sure that there are innovations that are ongoing to make, again, battery technologies more reusable, and also try to access new materials and minerals that could, help contribute to the transition that we're all seeking. So I hope that covers in a nutshell where innovations are happening from a policy front. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess we are coming close. I have one more question, and maybe I leave that open to whoever wants to answer. Marunda mentioned that at COP we had the beginning of the end of fossil fuels. And the question was, as standardizers, how do we support this through standards that also address the phasing down approach of fossil fuels? It's a difficult question. I don't know if anybody wants to answer. Jonathan, you have a thought about it?
Yeah, I do, because there is some active work in the IEC that's actually working to address some of this. And when we talk about phase down of the fossils, I think you also are implying a phasing up of the renewables. And as we look at bringing a larger and larger share of renewables into the terrestrial grid, for example, there are some real concerns around grid stability and grid operation. And so the IEC under Technical Committee 8 has established Subcommittee 8A, which is on large-scale grid integration of renewables. That group has liaisons with many, many technical committees, from the generation devices like marine and wind, to the high voltage, to the transmission, standards. And a similar effort in Systems Committee on Smart Energy, along with sort of this subcommittee that's looking at transmission and system level issues, are one way that as the fossil load is brought down in our transmission infrastructure and the percentage of renewables is increasing, we can ensure that standards and best practices are applied that maintain a reliable grid, that prevent faults and other grid outages that would interrupt our regular supply of electricity that we've all become so comfortable and familiar with. And so it's that systems approach and those cross-cutting efforts that bring together the entire suite of stakeholders in the energy transmission and electrical transmission infrastructure that I think will help the phase down of fossils. So, Jaidev talked a lot about the policy side, which he hit on pretty much everything I would have said. I thought his comments were really spot on from a policy side, but there is a lot of work in the standards side to ensure that our grids and our electrical system is resilient as more and more renewables come online.
Wonderful, thank you. I think I think we're running out of time. I would like to just thank you, everyone. I think we heard some really excellent comments on the one side, how UNIDO helps safeguard the environment from industrial production, how ARENA is helping to accelerate the financing to reach our tripling of renewables. I particularly liked also the comments from Esther, and especially how the benefits of conformity assessment go beyond just simple compliance to actually increase cost effectiveness, reduce trade barriers, improve market quality, knowledge sharing when you participate, and then access to global knowledge transfer within the IEC community. I think this is a really nice building, a brighter future is a really nice message for everyone around the table. I'm also, I find it also really interesting to see that if developing countries adopt international standards and use international standards and work with the certificates of the conformity assessment systems, that they don't have to spend as many resources on their side, and they can be assured that they can adapt concepts that have been proven or have shown to be proven in other countries in their own country to build up clean energy infrastructure. I think with that, it's fantastic. Of course, we were pressed with time. There's a lot of other interesting things that will be coming up in the conformity assessment series. I think we will also be talking in the future about a new scheme that IECQ has developed, which will allow industries to confirm that their net zero declarations are verified and comparable. So there's a lot of very interesting things that will be coming up. Thank you, everyone, for being there. We really had the whole world from I've noted down, but from Azerbaijan to Mexico, from Chile to Nigeria to China to Algeria, everybody was there. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you all a fantastic day or evening, and take care.